the 10% minority can actually influence the larger majority viewpoint. Obviously, in this scenario, I'm talking about crypto, and I'm talking about PulseChain and ideas like HEX, Bitcoin, Ethereum too. What I want to make this video for is I think a lot of people out there don't understand how much influence they could potentially have with their own voice and their own actions. I think a lot of people might doubt the power that they actually have, the fact that they can actually do something to change the outcome of reality. I think a lot of people are leaving too much stuff up to random chance and saying, oh, I hope and I pray that things work out, but not realizing that it doesn't really take that much. It only takes 10% of the strong vocal minority if they have these three qualities, which I'm about to list, and that strong-willed minority that has an unshakable belief. And I'm really referring to crypto as a whole versus the people that don't want crypto to succeed. Specifically, Elizabeth Warren, Gary Gensler, and a couple other powers that be. But luckily, we've got people all throughout Congress, governments, all different walks of life that actually have a vested interest in crypto, whether through their own greed, they already own it. They don't have to be all the idealistic people like you and me, but incentives are aligning here. And I think the outcome is inevitable, and I want to give people some more confidence in that the snowball's already rolling down the hill. It can't be stopped. The avalanche has already started. I really believe we've hit critical mass in crypto and in PulseChain and HEX specifically. But I want to give people some hopium that you don't have to sit back and leave this all up to random chance. This isn't all rolling the dice, and the whole SEC case and all that, it's not as scary as people think, okay? It only gives as much power to it as you lend it. If you sit around and make this imaginary horrible that the SEC can actually shut off crypto, which it cannot. They can't stop you from buying HEX, PulseChain, PulseX. They can't turn these things off because it's real DeFi, real true freedom of speech. If it were a more centralized cryptocurrency, yeah, they could be shut off. There might be something to worry about. But a lot of these fears regarding stuff, I'm not saying these fears aren't valid. I understand that the people have fears. But the fears come from the unknown. And the more you know about what the SEC actually does, the limited power, the restrictions in place by the judicial branch, the limited scope of their power and the frivolousness nature of the particular case in the example of PulseChain and HEX. When you have knowledge on your side and information asymmetry, you can arm yourself and feel a lot more comfortable and more confident. I'm not saying people's fears and concerns aren't valid, but for the crypto believers, I feel like the outcome is inevitable and we don't have to just sit around and hope and pray that somebody else comes along and pumps our bags for us and speaks our reality into existence. We can do it ourselves. We need these three qualities. We need to remember these 3 points to anchor back to. And just not forget that these things really do change the majority, okay? There's scientific studies, a ton of scientific studies based on the tipping point for the spread of ideas. Now, this could be used for good or bad. You can imagine how some entities might want to spread a negative idea. But we're out here spreading the positivity, the freedom of crypto and the freedom that it offers. Not only the mad gains, but the freedom to spend your money and speak and move however you see fit in the world without somebody telling you what to do. Or a middleman shutting off your bank account if you're trying to peacefully protest, for example. And anyway, let's go over to the 10% influence over the majority, and then we'll talk about that study. This is on phys.org, okay? It's physics, guys. It's professional. It's legit. You can trust it. It's a physics website. And there's plenty of other studies like Muscovy, and we're going to look up psychology, simplepsychology.org. Let's talk about what it takes. Okay, there's 3 things that it takes for the 10% minority to influence the majority. And we've already got all these things. A lot of us out here already have these qualities. So just stick to these and realize this is what it takes. Number 1, consistent messaging. For example, PulseChain is real DeFi. HEX is real DeFi. PulseChain is freedom of speech. Other protocols like Uniswap X are bending the knee. They are no longer real DeFi. They're centralized. They're able to be shut off by a middleman. The very middleman that crypto was invented to get rid of. So be consistent in our messaging, and we've got that down. In PulseChain, we've got that down. Dare I say, sometimes even more than the Bitcoiners. A lot of the Bitcoiners just want to put their heads in the sand, ignore innovation. But hey, there's some Bitcoiners out there that are open-minded, that are consistent. I'm not trying to make us versus them groups within crypto. It's not, us versus the Bitcoiners or whatever. It's all of crypto as a whole. And yeah, you're going to have people out there. It's not crypto, it's Bitcoin. Relax. Okay, no, it's not. There's a lot more innovation happening. It's more than just Bitcoin. A lot of Bitcoiners also admit that. They've got bags of altcoins as well because they see innovation happening. And anyway, what I'm getting at is the minority I'm talking about here is the crypto universe, okay? It helps to not play these silly us versus them games and cannibalize each other from the inside, which I see a lot of that. It's BS, it's distracting engagement bait. You're falling for psyops of these microcosms, of these tiny little pockets of the internet, of people just, shilling their poop coins of the day, trying to get you to buy them, and they're going to last 3 months, and no one will ever remember them again. And then they're going to be on to the next thing. There's this constant cycle of churning out the next thing every 2 weeks or every 2 months. But the long-term game that we're all playing, even the poop coiners, okay? Even the people that just try to sell you poop. I mean, yeah, they're scammers, but the minority of us as a whole is the crypto minority, okay? We still are the minority, let's be honest. Go ask 10 people on the street. I've done this before. I've asked 10 people on the street what they thought about crypto. Most of them just think, oh, you mean that Bitcoin thing? Yeah, I've heard of Ethereum. They might have heard of it. Some people have no clue. Most people have no idea, right? They're like, oh, I can buy some on PayPal. Is that crypto? No. It's up to us, the 10% minority, to be consistent in our messaging. PulseChain's real DeFi. What is real DeFi? Not your keys, not your coins. Okay, these are consistent messages that we all agree with. Take your coins off of exchanges. Do crypto the right way. Get your money out of the hands of middlemen. All right, so this is the minority I'm talking about. Consistent messaging, but also, number 2 is you got to be flexible. Okay, this contradicts the consistency because you also have to be flexible. You have to be flexible in your beliefs. For example, maximalism on anything. This is like something I think a lot of the crypto community could use is a little more flexibility to be open-minded to new ideas within crypto. So you don't just automatically want to say, oh, everything that's not my coin, everything that's not HEX, or everything that's not Bitcoin is crap. You don't want to say that because you got to be flexible enough to offer new ideas to allow them into your brain because innovation still happens. So we can be consistent on messaging like real DeFi, not your keys, not your coins, HEX, Pulse, PulseX, their freedom of speech, freedom of money, peer-to-peer transactions, getting rid of middlemen. That's the reason crypto was invented. But flexible enough to say things like, yeah, we do need different protocols out there. We need decentralized borrowing and lending. The goal of crypto is to replace all the products at a bank, right? So we need protocols like Aave or Fiat, just as an example, okay? Maybe different liquidity pools, different places to go trade, different decentralized exchange, perhaps decentralized leverage trading. I mean, these are just examples of other protocols, right? Maybe your coin does something new. Maybe you've got an NFT platform or you've got a unique NFT that does something different. We've got to be flexible enough to allow adoption within the ecosystem and allow crypto to move forward and build new stuff, right? You want people to build. So you got to be flexible and just say, not dig your head in the sand because you've got your one coin and say everything else is bad. Yes, a lot of things are poop. There's a lot of poop out there. But we need to be flexible enough to make our own decisions about that and to allow room for discussion. Okay, you've got a new poop coin. What does it do? Is it onboarding new people? Are you a grifter trying to play a 1 or 2 month game just to extract a little bit of money from within this weird little corner of the internet? It's pretty obvious, guys. People know what games they're playing. And people, if we're being honest with ourselves, people can smell the poop. Okay, poop smells bad. It's very strong. It's very pungent. People know, whether or not something has value just by the fact of, if people are using it, how can people use it? Does it have a useful aspect to it? Does it provide value in some way? HEX trustless yield. I like that. That provides value to me. I'm earning trustless yield right now. Shiba Inu Doge Elon Mars coin. I kind of doubt that's going to be around in a month. But hey, I'm flexible enough to hear about it. But I'm also flexible enough to say, hey, it's not all good. There's a lot of poop within crypto. We need to be open-minded, but consistent in our messaging. These 2 qualities are 2 of the things that help the minority influence the majority. That's what I'm talking about. Number 3, our messaging has to be appealing to the majority. And this is also known as identification. Okay, so we need to be relatable to the outside world. We can't just be looked at as some freak show, some clown show. A lot of times we are. People look at us, we sound like a bunch of freaks. Let's be honest. This is a whole bunch of weird, eclectic, eccentric individuals, but we do appeal to the majority, and I know that already because I can hear and see Congress wanting to make influential laws to regulate crypto as a new asset class. People are very upset with the way Mr. Guzzler is handling and going behind everyone's back and trying to co-opt the entire cryptoverse, okay? They were going to make FTX a monopoly. They were trying to shut down Binance in bed with Sam Bankman-Fried, literally and figuratively. And Gary Gensler is the one behind all this, okay? The restructuring the SEC bill has been proposed by Congress because they know the corrupt SEC is incompetent and corrupt. Plus, lucky for us, this is one of those greed overlapping moments where, the USA is one of the biggest holders of crypto. We've got large financial interests out there. Crypto, there's been a Ethereum ETF approved. You've got Grayscale. You've got Galaxy. We've got Mike Novogratz, Coinbase. You've got these giant entities that have worked their way into the mainstream. They're shaking hands and they're kissing babies and they're lobbying in Congress. And you can do that too. You can write to Congress. You can write to the SEC, write to the IRS. Check out Richard Hart's Twitter if you want to get an AI version. You can literally have AI write you letters to the SEC and IRS to complain and express your concern about, the BS regulations that they're proposing. or the proposed rules that are just simply not going to work. But in my opinion, the majority, crypto already appeals to the majority. Why? A lot of people got a bag already. A lot of people already got a bag. People within Congress too. I'm sure Senator Lummis probably owns like 1% of her portfolio in Bitcoin. People are trading it in their IRAs. We've broken through to the mainstream already. So it is appealing because, look, guys, people just want number to go up. We all have that in common. We want to buy something. We want to watch the number go up. We all want to make money. We all want to get by. We all want to beat inflation at the end of the day. And we all want people to leave us alone and not shut our bank accounts off and be able to take our money across borders, whatever. I think this identifies with enough people, both in Congress and just regular old people. And once they learn through our consistent messaging that that's what crypto offers, freedom, self-sovereignty, hey, maybe even you get some mad gains, that's appealing to the majority no matter who you are. We all want to make money. We all want more freedom, freedom of speech, freedom of expression. Hey, that's what PulseChain is. How convenient. So this overlapping of what we want versus what the majority wants, it's already there. We've already got this. So it's inevitable, in my opinion. Crypto is inevitable. It's going to be a mainstream thing one day. We've got, 400 million crypto users right now, and that's being generous, calling them users. You might have 200 million people that think they have Bitcoin because they got like $20 worth on PayPal, So we've got a long room to grow. This is like the internet in 1998. We are literally the internet in 98, okay? Pets.com just failed. Everything's crumbling. Maybe we're at post-2001 bubble. It's hard to say right now. But if we're anywhere near the late 90s, early 2000s in terms of the internet metaphor, we're still incredibly early, and we've got a lot of the world to penetrate. Wink, wink. All right, so let's go over some simple psychology today. Moscovici, and the minority influence of psychology. This guy did a study. He sounds Italian, I'm not sure. He talks about conversion versus compliance. Okay, compliance is when people just conform. Okay, you might have recognized people complying in such a recent big political event that happened a couple of years ago. And conversion is what we're talking about. Conversion is when the minority influences the majority. Compliance is when people just say, oh, okay, we accept this norm that's being forced upon us, but they privately reject it, and they publicly accept it, but they privately, in small circles that are not on YouTube because they're going to get kicked off, they say, you know what, I'm kind of skeptical of this, I don't know, maybe it's some kind of like untested medical treatment or something. It's neither here nor there. Conversion is when it's different from compliance because it takes people involving a public and private acceptance. So they accept it publicly and privately, and that is where crypto is going. That's where real DeFi is going. I don't think a lot of people are really anti-crypto. They're open-minded to it for the most part. You ask a bunch of people on the street, what do you think about crypto? You don't hear a lot of, oh, crypto's bad, crypto's evil. Now, maybe they just haven't psyoped the public yet. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. But you ask a lot of people about crypto, they're just like, I don't know much about it. What do you think about it? I mean, should I buy some? Is it a good time? They're interested. Everyone wants to make money. Everybody wants freedom of speech. Everybody wants mad gains. These are messages that resonate. That's why Richard's message of, hey, look, we can be in this for the tech and the money too. 10,000x, that resonated with a lot of people because he was the only one with the balls to say it. Look, guys, you can't pretend and masquerade like you're in it for the tech all the time. We're in it for both. The money is pretty nice. The mad gains, and it's probably not going to be life-changing with Bitcoin anymore. Anyway, crypto is ready for public acceptance. You don't have people anti-crypto except for, Senator Warren, aka the Karen of crypto. You have very few enemies, and they're very specific enemies. And they exist in the SEC, they exist in a few places in Congress, but they can be weeded out, especially with the new president, especially with shuffling the musical chairs, especially with the SEC Stabilization Act, I believe they're calling it. It's basically the Fire Gensler Act. Anyway, we're going to go dig into this. Conversion, okay? Conversion, not compliance is what we're going for. I don't really strongly don't think that we're talking about compliance. We're not forcing compliance on crypto. All right? Crypto is about conversion. So we're going to go down behavioral style. Okay, but what are the 3 factors? Well, they've got 4 factors here. They've got 4 factors that influence the minority to have an influence over a majority. Their behavioral style of thinking. I can lump these 2 together. That's the consistency part. Style of thinking, behavioral and mental. Okay, what are you thinking? How are you acting? Flexibility. And finally, identification. Remember, identification is the same thing as appealing to the majority. Let's talk about why. Okay, consistency. The minority must be consistent in their opinion. Okay, consistent and appearing to be unbiased, resisting social pressure and abuse. And we, guys, I know we resist social pressure and abuse for a living. That's what we do in crypto. We just get shat on all day, mostly by our own kin. But it be your own people sometimes, you know? Consistency. The majority must be consistent in their opinion. So, PulseChain's freedom of speech, freedom of movement, potential for astronomical, life-changing wealth. Hey, dare I say it? I just did. Okay, behavioral style. So we're consistent in our messaging, we're consistent in our thinking and our actions. We've got that in the bag. Just remember that if you're out there shilling, if you're out there fighting for freedom of speech, if you're out there fighting for, the right to transact privately, peer-to-peer, digitally, and own your own money, self-sovereign, you just got to be consistent. You can't say, well, the CBDC is a good thing, right? That would be inconsistent with everything that crypto stands for. You can't say, oh, let's get rid of middlemen. Let's bring the power back to the people. Oh, but I'm going to bend the knee for the CBDC, right? That would be an example of not being consistent. So you've got that in style of thinking as well. Flexibility and compromise. You have to be able to compromise as well. This would be an example of, well, okay, maybe we do need new regulations. Maybe we do need some new laws. But let's not apply laws from the 1930s that applied to an orange grove. The Howey test was about literally orange farms in Florida. Let's maybe those laws from 100 years ago should be updated for a brand new asset class that we've never seen before. I really don't think that Howey or anybody, even the whole SEC, right, the Securities and Exchange Commission, this whole entire agency was never meant to handle anything like digital assets in the new world with blockchain technology. So we can have flexibility and say, look, we do need maybe some regulations, maybe some rules. Maybe we shouldn't be funding, wars or certain blacklisted addresses. Maybe some on and off ramps for, links to North Korea or whatever it might be. Maybe we can blacklist those on, public exchanges and centralized exchanges. But we still need to be consistent in the fact that every human being has a right to know a certain private key and to bring that private key in their brain anywhere. And it's not like you could prove that they own that key anyway. That key is literally just the ability to publish to a public blockchain and to observe your ownership of a couple of digits that represent value that other people may or may not think is valuable. So that doesn't change, right? So we can have flexibility and compromise. We can also say, yeah, I like most of crypto. Crypto is building, innovating. Most of it's pretty good, but a lot of it is kind of stinky. It's kind of poop. And we should have the flexibility within crypto and without of crypto, right? So on the outside, flexible enough to compromise and say, okay, you want to regulate crypto? Let's build some new regulations. Let's ditch the old stuff and build a new reality. On the inside, let's be flexible enough to be open-minded to new ideas, but not gullible to scams and obvious rug pulls and, people, all the kind of nasty people, the bad guys within, the scammers within the crypto ecosystem. But you don't want to just put your head in the sand like a so-called maximalist and just ignore all the innovation happening. Finally, identification. People tend to identify with people that are similar for themselves. For example, same gender, ethnic group, or age. For example, one study showed that a gay minority arguing for gay rights had less influence on a straight majority than if there was a straight minority arguing for gay rights. Okay, this is totally different, but look, we're arguing for crypto rights, crypto innovation, freedom of speech, real DeFi, PulseChain, HEX, PulseX. But we can get that point across much better if we're appealing to the majority, aka if we identify with the majority. So if we appeal to the majority, if we identify with the majority, look, we're just everyday people from all different walks of life. Blue collar, white collar, young, old, male, female. We've got it all. Especially in the HEX community, PulseChain community. We've got literally, I've seen every size, shape, color of people, different economic classes, economic groups, ethnic groups. We've got it all. Okay? What's the one commonality we have, or a couple of commonalities that we have? We want freedom. We want to make money. We want a better life for ourselves, for our futures. We all want that. That's not controversial. And people in Congress want that. They want to go home. They want to put food on the table. Look, a lot of these guys already have Bitcoin. How much Bitcoin has the USA seized from people? They're one of the biggest holders of Bitcoin. The United States government, they got a bag of Bitcoin. Wouldn't be surprised if they got a bag of Ethereum. They got their fingers in it too. They want this to succeed. You don't want to shut down Bitcoin and innovation and crash this all to zero. Nobody wants to see crypto go to zero. Everybody's got a stake in it in some way. And the people that don't, they just don't have to open their minds anymore. Who knows? Maybe they're getting paid from special interests and anti-lobbying groups, but they're not as influential as people make them seem. It's been basically proven. Mike Novogratz revealed that Senator Warren basically has Gary by the cajones, okay? Senator Warren, Gary is basically Senator Warren's female dog right now, doing everything she says. Okay, you can see the meme, right? Senator Warren and Gary. You guys know this one. What do you think she's saying to him? Good job, Gary. You've done well, my friend. A promotion is coming your way. We'll give you a brand new watch. You'll love it. We'll give you the corner office, Gary. Mr. Guzzler, you're doing a great job of suppressing crypto. These are basically your main two enemies right here. Who knows what they're saying to each other? All right, the Karen of crypto and Mr. Guzzler, soy boy, ex-Goldman Slugs employee, the youngest partner at Goldman Sachs, friends with Sam Bankman-Fried's mother, Carolyn Ellison's family. There's no corruption there. How could there be? So look, guys, what did I say? From the Moscovici study, identification, flexibility, consistency. What did I say? That's what it takes for us, the minority, to influence the majority. Now let's go read this scientific paper that studies that just when 10% of the population holds an unshakable belief, their belief will always be adopted by the majority of the society. Now look, they use computer models. They use 3 computer models, okay? One computer model was they had every person connect to every other person in the network. So everyone's got a connection to everyone. The second model said only certain individuals were connected to a large number of people, making them, opinion hubs or leaders. You could think of this as having thought leaders. Like there's certain people with more weight. This is probably more similar to how the real world works. Okay, some people have a bigger megaphone. Richard Hart has a bigger megaphone than, Soyboy42069 on Twitter with, 50 followers. And the final model gave every person in the model roughly the same number of connections. So same number of connections, everyone connected to everyone, and some people are connection hubs, thought leaders. Okay, these 3 models, in all of them, the initial state of the models was also set to have traditional view holders, and the traditional view holders, when they were contacted with two people with the opposing opinion, they converted into that opinion. Okay, and I think this is pretty similar to crypto because, again, we're not talking about people being anti-crypto. So as the true believers were sprinkled in, they sprinkled in some true believers into each of these networks of people. And they were programmed to basically be, as the true believers interact with a traditional believer, the tides gradually shift, but only because, this is very important too, in these networks, in these computer models, the traditional believers had a view, but were also open-minded to other views. Now, this is obviously not always the case, but in reality, guys, what I'm thinking is, how many people are vehemently anti-crypto? How many people base their identity in being anti-crypto? I would say 95% of the world is open-minded to crypto, even if they don't know it yet, even if they don't know anything about it. All right? Take a sample size. I've asked 10 people on the street before. I think I did it in a YouTube video. Most people just have no clue. They're interested. They saw it go up. They saw it go down. Maybe they're scared because it's down. They were interested when it's up. They're just regular people trying to get by. They're basically open-minded. These two right here, this is not. These are the anti-crypto people. I mean, this is a very small segment of the population. Typically in 3-letter agencies, typically very disconnected from the wants of the actual American people or the people of the world. So I think it's safe to say that, individuals not in crypto have a relatively open mind to crypto because they're not anti-crypto. Again, these people are not regular people. How the computer model win is if the listener held the same opinions as the speaker, it reinforced the listener's belief. If the opinion was different, the listener considered it and then talked to another person. And then if they talked to the second person and that person also held this new belief, then the listener adopted their belief. So they may be oversimplifying things. They're assuming that, two people, if you talk to 2 crypto guys, if one traditional crypto guy talks to 2 hardcore crypto guys with their unshakable belief, consistency, flexibility, identification, okay? Remember those 3 concepts? If one guy talks to 2 of these guys, he'll automatically convert. Now, I think it might be a little more complex. We've got the whole idea of ubiquity illusions, okay, which has to do with two contexts, 3 media. So maybe you do talk to 2 people, but you also see crypto in 3 different media. Maybe that's TV. You hear Jim Cramer talking about it. Maybe it's you see a billboard, you see an ad for Coinbase, and then maybe it's Twitter. Maybe you follow somebody on Twitter. That's 3 media. And then maybe you have 2 real life contacts. So with 2 contacts and 3 media, I think that might be a more realistic way to approach it. Somebody that was neutral on crypto can become a crypto believer, a PulseChain believer, a HEX believer specifically. If you want to contact them and get up and actually influence reality, you can contact these people so that when they get into crypto, they're HEX first and they're PulseChain first. And then, look, in these computer models, a little bit oversimplified, if at least 10% of the people if they sprinkled in the true believers of 10%, once you sprinkle in 10% of true believers, then the idea always spreads, which means you don't even need 10% a lot of the time. Sometimes you could have 5%, and if you get lucky, the true believers will change the whole majority as well. But in order to not even leave it up to luck, but statistically verifiable that the idea will spread, the percentage is 1 in 10 people. Guys, you think 1 in 10 people is pro-crypto? If not, that's what we're aiming towards, okay? Once we get to that 10% critical mass, roughly speaking, obviously this was just a computer model. Why does this work? I don't know, guys. Computers. Science. Computers. Look, physics.org. What, do you not believe in Trust the science, bro. Trust the science. It's physics.org, okay? Scientists and computers. They said so. Look, I mean, it's not a perfect science, okay? Obviously, there's so many chaotic things that are imperfect. But look, you have more power than you think. 10% minority can influence the majority. Why? Because computers, bro. Be consistent in your messaging. Be flexible enough to accept new ideas or maybe accept the viewpoint of a person that might not be in crypto yet and be appealing to the majority. What does the majority want? Safe, make money, have their own power, have more freedom. Hey, look at that. That's what PulseChain offers. That's what HEX offers. So, in conclusion, I just wanted to say and express that you might have a lot more power and control over reality than you might think. So, let's not leave it up to chance. Let's not all think about this as, oh, I hope it works out. I hope and I pray it works out. In my mind, we've already won. I can visualize the future and see where we've already come out on top. Crypto is everywhere. It's only a matter of time. And by the time crypto permeates through culture, which cryptos do you want people in? I'd like them to be in PulseChain. I'd like them to be in HEX. You might have your favorite coin. Get out there and start promoting. Get out there, be consistent, be flexible. And one day the minority will influence the majority. And which coins are going to come out on top? Probably things with product market fit. I like HEX and PulseChain. I'd like to see those in the top majority when crypto takes over the world. If you like this video, make sure to like it, subscribe. If you're brand new to crypto, I do have a course, link in description below. Check that out. If you're brand new to crypto, it'll take you from zero to hero. I'll see you on the next one.